Hey guys, this is Mark with the Daily Hustle Show, and today we'll be talking about our recent daily sales tip, understanding the different concept of preparing and flying by the seat of your pants. You know, preparing takes practice, okay? You can't just wake up today and be like, I'm going to start being the preparation type. It just doesn't work like that. You have to be that type from the very beginning, and if not, you have to learn what it takes to be that type, okay? Now, how to prepare. I use this example all the time. When you're in a fight, that is not the time to practice fighting, right? If you're taking a test, that is not the time to start studying for it, right? Because the test is already there. The fight's already happening. Professional athletes do not just get onto the football field and just start playing. There is multiple practices ahead of time. There's multiple preparation ahead of time. Singers, same thing. They have sound checks and voice checks and vocal lessons. All that stuff. You get where I'm going with this. It takes preparation. And with preparation, it takes time. Sometimes your preparation will be one way, and then if you're doing it consistently for a couple of months, a few weeks, whatever, a few years, you'll see how your preparation starts to really sharpen up. One of my previous employers told me sharpening the sword. That's the way he looks at things. You know, when are you sharpening the sword? You're either using your skills or losing your skills, and that's directly from his mouth. Now, understanding that on another level is extremely crucial, especially if you're in a business industry. Okay, and this would work as well if you're a waiter, waitress, if you are washing cars. It doesn't matter. This is very, very important. So how to prepare properly? Well, it's actually quite simple. It starts with one thing. It's accomplishment. If you can accomplish one thing right off the bat, you've already started preparing for your day. That's why a lot of people say make your bed, right? I teach my little one to make her bed. Well, why? Because mentally she has that sense of accomplishment. However, she's indirectly preparing for her day, because she now knows, wait a minute, she's not going to eat breakfast or brush her teeth yet until her bed is made. So chronologically, I'm setting up this muscle memory for her. So she knows, oh, wait a minute, I just brushed my teeth, I didn't do my bed yet. I got to go back and go make my bed. So she goes back and she makes it. Now, for us as adults, how do we prepare for the next step, right? How do we prepare to be successful in our job or our relationships, right? How do we do that? Well, it starts with practicing, and it starts with that, and then you have to be consistent with it. So if we're in the business industry and you're in sales, how do you physically prepare for this? How do you just speak to somebody? How do you just tell them about your product? Practice it. Have some scenarios with yourself. Record yourself. If you're a cold calling guy, cold calling woman, cold calling guru, listen to yourself. Make a couple of cold calls. Record yourself. Do a voice memo on your phone. Listen to how you sound. Okay? Because in the next show, we're going to be talking about tonality and how important that is. Okay? Now, when you're listening to yourself, you're now saying, wow, that's what I really sound like. Oh, that doesn't sound too good. I might want to try this instead. Okay, well, try that. And then it works. Like, okay, I like that. Now I don't like the beginning. All practice, right? All practice. It's all preparing for that cold call, right? If you're presenting a solution to a client, right? It doesn't matter, again, what industry you're in. You're presenting a potential solution to their problem. Well, your job at that stage is not to just present, solutions and practice this presentation in front of the client. No, your job is to do all of that way ahead of time. Okay, now I'm not saying take your weekends and your nights to just practice, stare at yourself in a mirror. I'm not saying that. However, there needs to be a level of practice. There needs to be a level of preparation. Okay, and this is going to take some time. A lot of people will use the example of, think of an actor. Okay, an actor, I'll use this little piece of mail here. An actor will literally, little kittens on there. An actor will literally look at their script, stare at it, and read it word for word. Word for word, right? Until they get to the point where now they know what's on that page, and then they make it their own. Okay? So if it says something like, I'm physically going to read this. It says, appointments are in extreme high demand. Please arrange your pet's visit as soon as possible. They may read that multiple times the exact same way. I'm going to do it again. Appointments are in extreme high demand. Please arrange your pet's visit as soon as possible. Now, let's fast forward. Let's say that we now know what it says. We've read it over 50 times. Now I can say, look, these appointments are like in real high demand right now. We need to make an appointment like today. Do you see how I said the exact thing but in a different way? I did it my way. Okay, they created the sense of urgency. If you read it, they said they're in high demand. Okay, so schedule your pet's appointment as soon as possible. They created a valid sense of urgency there. Okay, but I had to read it a few times, understand it, and then I know what's on that page. Then I can word it so that it makes sense to me, and I can now translate it to the person sitting across from me. That is the practice. That is the preparation that takes time. Okay, so your favorite actors and actresses, that's what they do. They continuously read their scripts until they get to the point where they can make it their own. They're still getting the point across. The point of those two lines is make an appointment as soon as possible for your pet. That's the point. So when you have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you have, let's say, Richard Gere, you have Julia Roberts, all these big name people that we know, right? Ben Affleck, they're not reading their script word for word after months and months and months of studying it. No, they're making it their own. But the point is, hey, we got to sell this cell phone. Okay, well, they have a bunch of words that are in there, and they go, at the end of the day, I just have to make sure that this page is geared to selling the cell phone. So I'm going to make it mine, but understand that the goal is to sell the cell phone. That's the goal of this page. Okay, so when we're talking about sales, okay, it's all about that preparation, and you have to practice that. And it takes time to do all of that, okay? You cannot, like a test, you cannot have 3-4 months of a semester all crammed into from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. when you decide to go to sleep. How are you going to cram, what is that, 7, 8 hours, 9 hours, whatever it is? You cannot cram all of that in, okay? All 3-4 months of a semester in 7, 8, 9 hours. Like, unless you're just a genius, and there are people like that in this world, but they're, few and far between, right? It's like a diamond in the rough. That's not reality. That's not like a realistic expectation, okay? We're human beings. It's going to take more time. So what ends up happening is if you take the time to prepare a little bit every single day, and now you have the test tomorrow, well, when you read something, you already know what it says. You already know what it involves, right? Because you've already done it. You've seen it. Your brain has seen it multiple times. I can guarantee anybody listening to this right now, you can tell yourself, if you go to the grocery store, you know how to get home. You probably don't look at signs, look at street signs. Oh, I wonder how many red lights there's going to be. No, because your brain already knows it. Typically, you're on autopilot. And your brain already knows because you've done it so many times. Right? So if I tell you, hey, how do you prepare to go from your house to the grocery store back home? You'll look at me and be like, yeah, I just leave the house, I drive there, I go in there, I buy what I want, I drive home. But isn't there more to it? Don't you have to shut the door, maybe shut the garage door, back out of your driveway, put your seatbelt on? These are all the things that your brain automatically does, right? Because you've prepared so many times, you've practiced it so many times, you've put so much time into that preparation that you're on autopilot half the time. And that's true, right? That's how we operate as human beings, typically on autopilot. So, when you're doing all this, how many times have you been driving home and all of a sudden you're like home? But you had like a 35-minute drive because you're on autopilot half the time. You know how many times I've been driving and I literally was thinking about something completely irrelevant? And before you know it, I'm like 8-9 miles beyond where I was the last time I was really thinking about driving. It's because your brain already knows what to do. If I see red lights, even though I might not be physically staring at the red light, the vehicle in front of me, my brain has seen it already, and my foot has already moved over from the ignition to the brake pedal. It's automatic, right? Again, it takes preparation, practice, and time, okay? That is how it works. If you're in sales, you have to do this stuff, okay? Just a little bit every day. Okay, it doesn't have to be long, just a little bit every day to sharpen the sword, as he would say, right? If you're not using the skills, you're losing the skills, okay? It's the same general concept. So to be successful in most industries, especially in the business world, it does take preparation. I haven't met a high-level executive or a high, ranking sales rep, man or woman, that does not prepare for the meeting, that doesn't prepare for the sales presentation. Real estate agents have to prepare for their listing appointments, for their open houses, right? Car sales reps have to prepare to understand the cars that are on their lot so they can give that information to the customer that walks through the door. Okay, window sales, roofing, plumbing, HVAC, all these examples that I always like to use because everyone understands them. You have to have skill sets and you have to have knowledge of your product and know what they can and cannot provide for your client before you sit in front of them. Okay, if you're a sales rep and you just got into the company yesterday, they're not going to put you out on the road and say, oh, by the way, I need you to start selling windows. No, they're going to train you. Training is practice. It's preparation for the sales call. If you're in the business world and you're going to sit in front of some executives to, go over some presentations with them, maybe a demo via on your laptop, via Zoom, whatever you might use, okay? There is preparation. There's bullet points written down. There's a couple of screens that you can see that they cannot see, so you can go over to it. That's your outline. You have all your slides ready to go. You know what you're doing. If you're giving presentations in front of somebody with your laptop or iPad, or you're using a flat screen TV and just you're clicking it on your finger, you need to understand what slide is next. That is all preparation. You don't figure it out while you're there, okay? Because then you're definitely not going to get that job, okay, or that deal, okay? So it all takes preparation. Now, as we move on, I think we've beaten a dead horse at that stage, right? So let's move on to flying by the seat of your pants, so to speak, right? That is obviously the polar opposite of what we've just been discussing for the last almost 12 minutes now, right? So now you're not preparing for anything. You're just flying by the seat of your pants all semester, and oh, look, today's Monday morning. I'm going to take a test. Well, I hope I understood it. Guarantee you're probably not going to do well. Yes, there are that few and far between geniuses that can do all that. But it's, again, few and far between, right? Diamond in the rough. It's not often. Most of us that are on that normal scale, that doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, you have to prepare. And that also goes into life as well. If you're not preparing ahead of time, typically other things will kind of falter with you. For example, let's say you're late to things. Let's say you have to be somewhere at 4. Well, if you just say, look, if I have to be there at 4, I'll just start getting dressed around 3:30, and I'll head out around 3:45. Well, if that drive is 40 minutes away, leaving at 3:45 is not going to get you there at 4, is it? No, you're going to get there closer to 4:30. The preparation is, well, let me look at my maps, let me put in the time frame that I'm going to be leaving and see how long it physically takes to get there at that time. Oh, it takes 45 minutes. All right, well, then I can't leave at 3:30, 3:45. Okay, so I'm going to have to leave around 3:15 to get there at 4. Well, I need at least 30 minutes to get ready. Okay, well, then you're not getting ready at 3:15 because you need 30 minutes. So now you're backtracking 2:45. Okay, so I have to start getting ready at no later than 2:45. That gives me about 30 minutes to get ready and then leave the house and get there by 4 o'clock. Now think about this, right? Add variables. We got a dog. Right? We have things that need to be cleaned up in the house before you leave. Now you're like, okay, wait a minute, the dog has to go out at this time. I want to bring the dog out right before we leave. So that means I have to start getting ready a few minutes prior because what if, he doesn't use the bathroom as quick as we thought? Maybe he gets distracted. My dog gets distracted by a leaf. So he's just one of those reactive dogs. So sometimes it's very up in the air of how long it's going to take him to relieve himself. So we usually give ourselves enough time. But that's all preparation. Right? That's where it all starts. It all starts with, okay, I have to be somewhere at 4. Well, it takes me this long to get ready. It takes this long to get there. And I have a few variables that I have to consider with the dog and cleaning and this and that. We should probably start doing all this stuff around 1:30 because by the time we do everything we need to do to leave at 3:15 to get there at 4. So you see how I gave you all that example of even when you're talking about being somewhere on time, there is a preparation. And the more you practice that, which as we said takes time, then you're going to realize that preparation, okay, is what's really helping you succeed in the goal, which is get there on time, okay? Same thing if we're talking about a sales demo or a sales presentation. If you prepare ahead of time, you're not preparing that day. You're preparing way ahead of time. So if you're sitting down with an executive, or you're on the phone with an executive, you're emailing an executive, and you know you're going to need at least 3 to 4 days to prepare everything before you sit in front of them, you're not going to tell them to meet with you in 2 days. Okay? You might say, yeah, do it, but you're not going to sleep, right? You're cramming. If you know you need 3 to 4 days, I'd be sitting there saying, let's meet in 6 days. So I give myself an extra day. That is preparation. I'm always early. I am never late and very rarely on time. I'm always early. You know that old school cliche phrase, if you're early, that's a good thing, you're on time. But if you're on time, you're late, that's not a good thing. It's the same concept, okay? I like to be early because if something else comes up, or if, they're like, oh yeah, we're home, come on over now, whatever. Or, our reservation's at 6:30, we got there at 6:15. Oh, we'll sit down now, no problem. Yeah, we have availability. Great, I'm home 15 minutes sooner, 15 minutes longer with my dog, right? So that's the way I operate. I do not fly by the seat of my pants. I did this, and I'm going to wrap this up with this example. I did this, I think, recently on TikTok. We even did it here on YouTube, where I said, would you rather have $1 today or $1 million tomorrow? And then I said, well, you don't know if tomorrow is promised. And then, there was more than enough people. Some privately messaged us on different social media platforms that saw that and responded to us saying, well, if you're not promised tomorrow, why would you invest the $1 today if you're not even going to be here tomorrow? What you're doing is you're taking in the negative. You're taking too many variables. The point is, you have an option. $1 million tomorrow or $1 today. Those are your options. There's no variables of, well, what if you're dead? No, that's not what we're discussing. What we're discussing is you have an option A and B. $1 million tomorrow, A. $1 today, B. What's your choice? Me, I do $1 today because I can invest that now. Okay? If I don't know if tomorrow is promised, or I don't even know if you're even going to be able to give me that $1 million tomorrow, but I already have this dollar. I can go invest it. I can go do something. And technically that $1, that one little dollar, you can buy a $1 scratch ticket and win 5, 10 grand. At least in Massachusetts, those are the ones we have. You can win 5, 10 grand. I think the highest is maybe 20 grand. But let's say we go in the middle. Let's call it 10 grand. Now you've got $10,000. You go and invest that 10 grand in the same day. Maybe you buy a whole bunch of scratch tickets at a higher value, and all of a sudden you walk away with 30 grand and 40 grand. Do you see how that $1 just skyrocketed? Think about that. That's what happens. If you prepare for it, you give me the dollar now, I can prepare for the success in the future with that dollar. Okay? If I fly by the seat of my pants, I'll be like, yeah, well, I'll probably just get the $1 million tomorrow. Yeah, we'll just see what happens tomorrow. And if I don't get it tomorrow, maybe I'll get it on this day instead. That's flying by the seat of your pants. That's also a low-key procrastinator, right? You want to get things done now. I'm the type of person that I'd rather get something done right now rather than wait it out, because I know me as a person, I don't want to deal with it later. I want nothing to do with it later, right? I just want to deal with it right now. So again, guys, to wrap this all up, if you want to be successful in any line of business or just with your relationships or friends, family, right, any communication level that you have, it's going to take preparation. Preparation is going to take practice to be prepared. And it's going to take a little bit of time. But you do a little bit every single day. Okay? So you're not blindsided, so to speak. Okay? You do not study for the test the day before the test. You study a little bit every single day so that when you see the test, those questions have already been seen in your brain multiple times. Much easier to answer that question correctly. Or you can fly by the seat of your pants and just hope that everything just works out. Right? But when we do that, we're not prepared. Okay? We're kind of winging it. And if you have people like myself on the other side of the laptop, the other side of the conference room, right, or the other side of the conversation, I'm going to pick up on that. And if you're a high-level exec, they're going to pick up on that too. If you're a high-level thinker, regular person, just a high-level thinker, they're going to pick up on that as well. And that's the last thing that you want. You do not want to be perceived in a negative mindset or a negative notion, okay? Again, guys, this is Mark with the Daily Hustle Show. Please like, subscribe on YouTube, TikTok as well, and Instagram. We're on all of them. You'll see a daily sales tip on TikTok. Sometimes you'll see some funny stuff that we'll post. Everything is sales and life related. Not everything is sales, but some of it is life related as well, just like today. If you guys have any questions, just like, comment. You can message us here, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. We're on all social media platforms. Have a good one, and we'll be back again.